Every time with that scene.
これからもずっとそうなのだと信じていた。なぜだ?
Okay, we need to talk about that.
Because that wasn't Claude's memory anymore. That was Hibiki living it.
And that's the problem. When Hibiki experiences Claude's traumatic memories through magic circulation, what right does he have to that pain?
So this episode is ostensibly about training. Hibiki's party goes shopping for gear. Vene starts teaching magic basics. Everything feels lighthearted until it isn't. Vene bites Hibiki's hand to register him as Lillian's accountable person, which should just limit her magic output. But when the magical circulation happens, Hibiki doesn't just connect to Lillian. He sinks deeply into Claude's consciousness and experiences his most traumatic memory, watching Anastasia die while he was powerless to save her.
What gets me is how casually Vane explains it afterward. He sank deeply into his consciousness. Like violating someone's mental privacy is just a training mishap.
Wait, but that casual delivery is brilliant. It's showing us how normalized this kind of magical intrusion is in their world, which makes Claude's horror even more isolating.
I'm not sure brilliant is the word I'd use when we're talking about traumatic violation being treated as routine.
Fair point. The violation is total, and the framing as an accident doesn't change that impact.
Something about this whole sequence feels wrong, and I don't think I can articulate why yet.
Hold on, let me work through what bothered me. We're examining Claude's shift from stoic bodyguard maintaining professional distance to vulnerable man whose deepest trauma gets accidentally exposed through magical mishap. But accidentally is doing a lot of work there. Let's ground this. We have 3 key moments that build to the violation. First, Claude insists on buying Lillian expensive armor, and his reaction to the price isn't shock, it's relief. 25 gold coins? That's so cheap for protecting someone.
Then Vene sets up the magical registration. I'll bite your hand to register you as her accountable person. And suddenly, he's connected to something much deeper than Lillian's magic.
And that leads to Hibiki floating in complete darkness, asking, "Where am I?" before the horrifying realization that he's become Claude. The boundaries between self and other just dissolve.
Okay, here's what I can't get past. This is a consent violation. Hibiki didn't choose to access Claude's memories. Claude didn't consent to share them. And the show treats it like a bonding experience.
But that misses what actually happens in the sequence. Yes, it's a violation, but watch how the show frames Claude's memory. Hibiki doesn't just see Claude's past, he experiences it as if it were his own trauma.
Which makes it worse. That's not understanding. It's like emotional contamination. Hibiki gets Claude's pain downloaded directly into his psyche.
But here's what's fascinating. Claude's reaction when he realizes what happened. I'm sorry, over and over. He's not grateful that Hibiki understands him now. He's horrified that someone else got hurt by his memories.
The episode doesn't commit to that reading, though, because right after Claude apologizes, the show gives us this peaceful moment, with Anastasia saying, "The moon is so lovely," and her expression is accepting, serene, even with the blood.
Okay, controversial take here, but Claude needed this violation to happen. He would never have voluntarily shared this trauma that clearly drives every protective instinct he has.
That's a hell of a position to take. You're justifying magical mind invasion because the victim was too traumatized to consent properly?
I'm saying some truths are so buried in trauma that they can't be reached through normal conversation. And without understanding this memory, Hibiki could never comprehend why Claude's so desperate to protect everyone.
I don't know if character development justifies empathic overreach, Alex.
そうなんだ。
Stop. Look at her face in that moment. That's not the expression of someone in anguish or fighting death. Her eyes are soft, almost content. There's blood on her lips, but she's looking at Claude with complete peace.
You're right. She's not struggling. She's letting go.
Exactly. And Claude's why isn't just grief, it's incomprehension. He can't understand how she can be peaceful about dying, how she can accept leaving him behind.
So the memory intrusion forces both of them to confront something Claude's been avoiding, that Anastasia chose to let go, and he's been fighting a battle she already surrendered.
Which brings me back to consent. Yes, this violates privacy. But now, they both have to live with consequences neither of them wanted. The moment that reframes everything is Claude's desperate apology afterward.
ご主人様、さっきクロードの意識覗いたとき、何か面白い記憶はなかったかにゃ？おねしょしたり、転んだり。
何かとても綺麗なものを見たような。よく覚えてないんだよね。
なんだ、すまないにゃ。
あれはクロードの記憶だったのかな。
He takes full
誰かの名前を
responsibility.
呼んでいた気がするんだ。
Right, he takes complete responsibility for something that was clearly an accident. I let too much magic flow into you, but that phrasing suggests he had control when he obviously didn't.
That's survivor's guilt talking. Claude couldn't save Anastasia, couldn't control her death. So now he's hyper-vigilant about controlling everything else. Even magical accidents become his fault.
And now Hibiki has experienced that same helplessness firsthand. Not just intellectually understanding that Claude lost someone, actually feeling the desperation of trying to save someone who's already decided to let go.
Which completely changes their power dynamic. Hibiki isn't just Claude's employer anymore. He's someone who's been traumatized by Claude's trauma.
The relationship can't go back to professional distance after this. They're bound together now by shared psychological wound, whether they wanted that connection or not.
So where does this leave them? Claude's going to create emotional distance by episode 6 or 7. This violation of his privacy will make him pull back, become even more formal and professional. He'll try to rebuild the boundaries that got shattered.
I'd push back on that. I think Hibiki's the one who's going to overcompensate. He's now carrying Claude's trauma along with his own adjustment to this world. By episode 6, Hibiki will be desperately trying to protect Claude from further pain, even when Claude doesn't want or need that protection.
But Claude's whole identity is built around being the protector. If Hibiki starts trying to shield him,
Then Claude will have to confront the fact that he's not the only one capable of caring about others' well-being. And that might be even more threatening than having his memories exposed.
So you're saying the real fallout isn't about privacy violation. It's about role reversal.
The magic didn't just show Hibiki Claude's past. It gave him Claude's emotional reflexes. And those reflexes are going to clash with Claude's need to be the one doing the protecting. Looking back at our opening question, does Hibiki have the right to Claude's pain? I think the episode argues he does now, whether any of us are comfortable with that or not. They created genuine understanding, but at a cost neither of them chose to pay.
What's haunting me is Anastasia's peaceful face in that final moment. Claude's been carrying trauma from someone who wasn't traumatized by her own death. She accepted it. He couldn't.
And now Hibiki knows that truth in his bones. The question isn't whether the violation was justified. It's what they both do with this knowledge they never wanted to share. If you want to see how that psychological aftermath plays out, hit subscribe, because this kind of emotional fallout doesn't resolve in one episode.